For more on this, let's speak to Thierry Bayle. He's the founder and owner of Global Fashion Management with over 25 years experience in the fashion and retail management industry. Fantastic to have you on the show. Does this announcement from Gucci surprise you at all?
No, I think it's something we would have been willing to see many years back, because it's true that there were some issues in the wholesale business, when basically those luxury brands are selling to independent boutiques. But certainly, it's coming at the right moment. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to wait for a crisis to get people to start, taking action. So I think, COVID comes to the right time, and it's going to really give the opportunity for those brands to revisit their business model and make it really work with obviously the stores who are representing them and selling their goods.
And do you see other fashion brands following suit?
I mean, we know already that Yves Saint Laurent decided, not to go for the September show in Paris. Ultimately, remember, it's a high cost. With the current situation, you're not too sure that it's going to be really, really beneficial and profitable. Let's remember that in September, we're going to be showing Spring/Summer 2021. The challenge is that today, the buyers, they need cash, and they need cash today. So ultimately, buying in September something that is going to come in January is not always, for the retail stores selling Gucci and the other brands, the best business model. And therefore, I'm afraid that, yes, it makes sense to revisit the way we conduct that exercise, even though it's going to be a big hit, for the cities who host those events, because ultimately there's a lot of events, buyers and spending during that fashion week, of course.
And there's a lot of jobs in fashion behind the scenes. I want to ask you about this resetting of fashion, as the head of Gucci said, the creative director said, Alessandro Michele. But I want to ask you about consumer patterns. Do you see a change in the consumer patterns over this period of lockdown? Just to give you an anecdotal example, some websites, the first thing that comes up is loungewear.
Yes. Well, absolutely. I mean, if you and me, we have to stay at home, definitely, there's going to be a need for more loungewear, casual wear. I had somebody who told me, Thierry, the women wouldn't be willing to wear jeans anymore. So it's true that this is certainly a direction. At the same time, I would say, we're still going to be willing to spend. There's still some surge in spending, as countries reopen. But definitely, there's a big trend towards sustainability and the willingness, to make sure that we put some control on that. And today, definitely, there's too much stock. But also, one of the reasons why there's too much stock is because we don't necessarily control our buying very well. So I think, we need to put more business of fashion inside the industry.
Very interesting point. Too much stock. Let's talk very quickly about the high street and fashion on the high street. You're in London. Today, Kurt Geiger said that shoes in their shops will be quarantined for 24 hours after customers try them on. How do you see the high street, fashion on the high street, adapting?
This is I've been talking to brands, retailers through webinars, of course, recently. So they have to adopt definitely a new process, because the customer today, it's about health, it's about security. So he's going to be willing to make sure that those retail stores can really take all the necessary precautions, to protect them. So some stores have already planned, little cubicle spaces, individual spaces, just to make sure that they can basically try the pieces, and not having anybody around them. So, and today, as you look for security and health, you're going to be willing to make sure that you actually see the retailer also proving you that he's doing it, not just maybe saying it. And that's why I believe there's going to have to be a lot more training in those stores to make sure that, they adapt to the needs of the consumer.
Thierry Bayle, it's been very interesting speaking to you. I've learned a lot about how the fashion industry is changing. Pleasure to have you on the News Hour.